and then we are going to get started. I'm going to share for tonight. All righty. Can you guys see this, the screen?
Yep.
Thumbs up. Okay. What I didn't do is mute you guys. So go ahead and make sure you're muted. And then that way at the end, just in case any of you guys have background noise, then we won't hear everybody's dog barking or, you know, eating or whatever, slamming. So, all right. So welcome tonight. How do I change my belly fat? Like, I felt like this is definitely just a word, a phrase to get you guys into seeing what we can do about the frustration of just changes in our body. And as women, we go through a lot of changes. And so last week we did a talk on hormones and how just the imbalance of hormones, how excess sugar, stress, sleep, so much can play into our bodily changes, age, perimenopause, menopause. And so tonight we're really breaking it down more on macros. What are macronutrients? What do I eat? And so we will definitely be looking about this. And what I want to realize is that there's just a lot of us on this call and those that are going to listen to the recording that we have so many different experiences with eating. Some of us may have struggled with our body weight, with weight gain. Maybe just recently we have. I'm 49, so I know that there's been changes in my body. You know, I've noticed in the last couple of years, perimenopause, and we're frustrated. And some of us might have had some even eating disorders or things or emotional eating that we kind of fall in habit to. So I just want to address what we eat and what we can do about it. And on this, well, here's a little quick picture of my family. I don't know if you guys can all see this. And I've got 4 kids, 21, 19, 15, and 13. And for me, sharing about health with my family and health with others is a huge passion, I want to help people look and feel their best. And so when I started talking about this is something that to me tremendously works in with my passions and my why. Letting food, nutrition, exercise, healthy living habits really be your medicine. So Hippocrates said, let food be thy medicine and medicine thy food. So when I talk to someone about their, you know, finding their macronutrients, understanding eating patterns, I might ask them, what are your goals? Are your goals is to lose weight, to gain muscle, to maintain, change that body composition? Because that is a definite difference in what we're going to work on when we find out our macronutrients. Now, looking at this picture, I used this last week. Don't count your calories, make your calories count. And so talking about macronutrients, which is fats, carbs, and protein. So those are your macronutrients that our bodies need to live on, along with, you know, trace minerals, vitamins, water. But these 3 things are what will help us understand what macros are when people talk about that. So healthy fats. I think I grew up in an era where we've had so many different fearing fat. Don't eat fat. If you eat fat foods, you'll immediately gain weight. So processed and very not safe for you fats. But understanding that fats essential to delivering their fat soluble nutrients. So there are hormones that need our fats, healthy fats. When you have healthy fats, you burn fat. It's more satiating when you're eating healthy fats in your diet. So definitely critical to hormone and metabolism. So sometimes I have had clients that haven't eaten enough healthy fats. And so their bodies, their hormones go into that imbalance. And that's what we talked about last week. So definitely there's some fats to stay away from. The hydrogenated ones, omega-6 fatty acids.
Hey, Christine.
Yes.
Christine.
Yes.
Carolyn here. Can you uncheck your meeting room, your waiting room, and let anyone else in that's in the waiting room?
I will. Steve,
on Zoom.
It's not giving me access. Sorry.
Oh, it's not giving you access. Let me.
Well, I figure there's other people because I was trying to get on my computer, so I figure there could possibly be other people there waiting too.
Phone, is that how?
So.
Okay, so can I?
I was on my phone earlier and I was trying to switch to computer, but it won't let me in.
Okay. So I'm thinking.
Sorry to interrupt. You're
so
on a roll.
I'm thinking, how can I do that without changing my screen? Thanks. Okay, Steve is. I think he's coming upstairs. He found it last time for me, but because I definitely want
I'm
to make
sorry.
people get on.
I
No,
just figured-
thank you for making that. How do I find my?
Yeah, I wouldn't have said anything, but I figured there were other people probably in there as well, the latecomers.
Okay, there you are.
Hey, Steve.
Okay, is that good?
I wanted to be able to see your shared screen, so I got on the computer.
Awesome. Okay. Oh, there's
Thanks.
one more. Okay, hopefully I'll keep that there and then I'll be able to see. Okay, awesome. Okay, now does this little box
That's
write
me.
out my words? Do you guys see that? There you go, that better. Okay, thanks Caroline. Got a couple people more in. Now, understanding our macros, so healthy fats is really key and the balance of those. And we'll go over what does that look like, how much of what. Complex carbs, so this is something that many of us might have been in a low carb craze, but we need carbs for energy. We need high fiber, nutrient dense carbohydrates. It helps us even preventing. It gives us, if we have really naturally occurring ones from veggies with high fiber, it helps us overeating. Obviously choosing low glycemic carbs will definitely give us a steady blood sugar. And so that is, we can't eliminate this from our diet. We need carb intake. And then protein, healthy protein, that is the building block of all cells. We need protein. I would say many of my clients that I've had over the years, most women are not eating enough protein, plain and simple. They're just not getting enough in their diet. And that is definitely helpful for producing some hormones, cellular turnover, it's the building block. One thing about protein is that we cannot store it. It has to be replenished. So that is essential. Now, we're going to talk more about making calories count. So here's just a picture of good carbs versus bad carbs. Why does that matter? And again, the complex carbs, let me admit someone here real quick. Complex carbs, we need that. So for the fiber, for the nutrients, and then the low glycemic, so it actually just is, it takes longer to, steady blood sugar into our system. Now, if we have those really good complex carbs, so the whole grains, and so the natural occurring from veggies and fiber, that's really going to give us a good balance. And then the simple carbs are ones that they are just like they are, simple sugar molecules, and they get digested very quickly. And if they are not used up as energy, they're then stored as fat. So sometimes it's a timing of when I might eat simple carbs right after a workout and just getting that body to use up some of that energy. So timing is everything in some of these simple carbs if I choose to have those in my diet. But again, if we have too much of those, they will be stored more as fats or fat storage in our body. Now you look at this picture on the right, healthy fats, so eggs and olives and nuts and seeds and avocados and salmon and healthy omega-3s. Those are some good pictures of some really healthy fats that we need in our body. Now, here's the picture that kind of got everybody excited about last week, is also everybody confused. What are macros? And so you'll see a picture here on the right of MyFitnessPal. So MyFitnessPal is something really great and easy that I started tracking. And actually my 15-year-old daughter started tracking her food 2 days ago. And she's taking a health course this summer for summer school. And I'm excited. She's never really wanted to do this, but macronutrients, this is a great way to figure out what am I truly eating. And I even told my daughter yesterday, I said, don't worry about anything, but open up this free app called MyFitnessPal. That's one that I've used. And for 2 days, do as specifically as you can, just track in there. I had a cup of oatmeal with 1 tablespoon of maple syrup, with a 1/3 cup of blueberries, with this. I had a cup of black coffee with 1 teaspoon of coconut oil in it. I had, 4 ounces of chicken. So as concise as you can, you will get a really good picture of what you're putting into your body. Again, it's like we don't have, during this COVID, we haven't had a lot of control over a lot of things, but I just want you to have that mindset that you do have control of what you put in your mouth. You have control of what you eat. And so sometimes we've just gotten into habits. We've gotten into emotional eating, and we've gotten into just not preparing, not prepping, being on the fly, and not really thinking about it. Or like when my kids were younger, I just kind of ate their leftovers. and I didn't really think about what I was doing to fuel my body. So we're all in a season of life that we have our own challenges to really self-care and really take care of our health and our nutrition. So what I love about this MyFitnessPal, it gives you a really good snapshot of what you're eating. And this page specifically is under the nutrition tab, and it's the macros. So you see the pie chart. In this case, 41% of carbs, 33% of fat, 26% of protein. Now this is just a sample percentage, which I'll go in a few minutes. I'll talk about what does it look like, how to figure out your percentage, right? Now on this page you see refeed. I have this here. This word is because many people, especially women that I find, we don't get enough. We don't eat enough. And if you find that your metabolism has slowed down, that you feel sluggish, fatigued, it could be that you're not getting enough calories. And so when I have people find this out, I have them do an in-body scan, which I don't know if I was able to take a picture of that. It's a picture like this. I'm showing you on my little screen, but one of the gyms that I used to work at had an in-body scan, and it's one of the ways that you can find out what your body mass is. You stand on it. Actually in Denver, if your Max Muscle has a free in-body scan, you don't have to order anything, but you walk in and say, my trainer told me to get an in-body scan. And this is a great picture of me to figure out someone's macro numbers that based on their lean mass and their basal metabolic rate. And so I'm going to go over that in a minute, because that is probably the biggest thing that people are trying to figure out what my numbers look like. And so let's go to this side. So calculating your ideal weight, and this is where you guys can see this when I do the recording and send it to you. So ideally, my ideal weight would be my current weight. This is if I didn't have an in-body scan to go on. My current weight, and we'll just say 125 pounds minus my half of my body fat. Now, how do I figure out my body fat? So there are so many ways that if you had a tape measure and you actually Googled like Navy, Army, military calculations, I could use a tape measure, and I think one circumference was taping, around my neck, around the skinniest part of my waist, and around my hips. And online, you could figure out, an estimate of what my body fat percentage would be. So if I have that number, let's say my body fat percentage is 18% or 16%. I think I figured this out. But this guy I have on this page is a male whose body fat percentage is 35. He's 200 pounds. If to get his ideal weight, we'll take his current weight of 200 pounds minus half of that body fat percentage, 35, and his ideal weight would be 165. Now, this is just to estimate your caloric need, and I'm gonna go over that in a minute. But I want you guys to hear that an ideal body weight for men is about 12 to 20%, for women 15 to 25%. And as we age, that gets to be a little bit, it can go to 28, 29, 30 as we age, because, as we age, we will lose some muscle mass, we lose some metabolism. So that's why it's ideal for us to continue to move our bodies as we get older. And I don't know if you guys can see this chart because of our pictures, but in this chart, it talks about, what is average for athletes, for fitness, for average, and for obese. And as I shared last week, obese, over 32% body fat, we desperately need to get our mind wrapped around, we've got to lose some weight, because that visceral fat, the fat in our abdomen around our organs, that's where we get into some just some issues with our heart, with other conditions of risk. We're at risk for a lot of different conditions. So we need to get our body fat percentage below that 32%. So looking at that, our basal metabolic rate, this just gives you an idea of how do I understand macronutrients. So your basal metabolic rate, when people say your BMR, that is the number of calories your body needs just to survive. And it's the number of calories that your body, if you just kind of were couch potatoing it all day long on the sofa, what your body needed to breathe, to circulate blood, to work your brain, your lungs, it correlates to your lean body mass too. So like I showed you a minute ago, when someone goes in and get this lean body scan or this in-body scan, it tells you what your lean body mass is. And that's a great way for me to quickly figure out for someone what their macro numbers are. But if we did not have that scan, which most of us don't, this is how I would determine what my basal metabolic rate is. So you'll see the calculation for women, and this is where you guys can take a picture or you can see this recording, but 4.36 times my ideal weight. So I figured out on the back, the page before, my ideal weight would be 115. That's not pounds, this is more for caloric need. Times my height in inches minus my age in years. And I figured all that out and I got 1,222 calories. Now, that's just what my body needs to just breathe. I definitely do a lot more than breathing during the day. Even for some of you that have like steppers and you see that you walk 10,000 steps in a day, you know that you burn more calories than that. So that's not my calorie that I'm using, but taking that number, now I'm going to determine what my total daily energy expenditure is. Okay, so this is what I'm doing. Am I walking 5 days a week? Am I riding my bike? Am I playing tennis? Am I doing some lightweight cardio? Am I doing some strength training? What is my activity level? And so obviously for someone that's very sedentary, it's not very high, but for someone that's moving around, even that I'm following toddlers all day long, I'm cooking and cleaning and I'm moving my body, you might say at least times 20% of energy expenditure. So I took my 1222 of my basal metabolic rate calories times 0.30 because I'm lifting weights. I probably could go up a little bit more. Adding that to that, I'm looking at almost 1,600 calories a day. So I'm saying all this just to give you an idea of how do I figure this out. So when we talk about macros, for everyone, it just depends on my goals. Like I said at the very beginning, am I wanting to lose weight? Am I wanting to build lean muscle and strength train? Am I wanting to maintain? And I don't know unless I know how much calories are coming in. And so when I go onto that MyFitnessPal, I'm able to see, wow, in a day, I took in 1,700 calories. 40% of those were carbs, 35% was fat, 25% was protein. And then we can go from there. So I have my calculation of 1588. And the first thing when I'm going to help someone figure out their macro numbers is we're going to figure out their protein. And again, like I mentioned, most women are deficit in protein. And so surprisingly, when people spend 2 days and on their own track their food on MyFitnessPal, honestly, it's that, oh my goodness, it's that aha moment. Without even me telling them, some people have realized I'm just not getting enough protein. And so that's just a very good way to see what can change in my diet. Now, so for protein, if someone is sedentary, I would multiply 0.7, basically like 70%. Otherwise, if you look at the bottom of this slide, I chose 125 grams for protein. I'm 125 pounds, so I chose a pound for my gram of weight, body weight. Again, I could actually go a little bit more, but that's just kind of an average. I took my weight, 1 gram of weight to figure out my protein. And then so to figure out protein grams and carb grams, the multiplier to figure out calories is times 4. So 125 grams times 4, I've got 500 calories of protein. And that's about 31% of the day. Then I'm going to figure out fat grams. So you always want to have at least 20% of your daily calories to be fat. 20% is the minimum. For some people, you guys have heard of the keto diet. Those are people that really have a higher body fat percentage. They need to lose a lot more weight. And so for some, they're starting out having a high percentage of protein, maybe even 60%, and their carbs are very low and their protein is moderate. But their macro numbers are way different, and they do that for a while until they maintain and see, and then they need to adjust. But the minimum is that your body needs 20% at least. If not, that's again, we get into those issues of our hormones. We need fat soluble fat for some of our fat soluble vitamins to get that fat soluble absorbed in our system. So then on the bottom, I took 1588 and I times it by 30. I decided 30% of fat grams is what I want. I got 476 calories of fat for the day, and that's about 30% of my pie chart, 53 grams of fat that day or in a day. And then carbs is the rest of the numbers, 500 calories plus 476 minus 1588. It gives me my carbs, and then that comes up to almost 40%. So this is kind of like the 40, 30, 30, that if you were to go online and someone to say, what number should I start with for good macronutrients? And a lot across the board, a lot of people will say 40% carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. Now that's just an average, it's just a sample, but this is something that I told my daughter, until we know how much calories you're bringing in every day and in what percentage of your macros of protein, carb, and fat, we will never have any idea how to change, how to accommodate, how to manipulate those numbers to kind of find your sweet spot. All right, everybody has a sweet spot. And this is what I mean. When I have clients, I check with them weekly and I find out your sweet spot. Are you hungry all the time? Are you sleeping? What's your mood like, your energy? Are you seeing any changes this last week? If not, then we've got to adjust. If you're hungry, you're not getting enough calories, maybe we need to have increase more of those fat calories, lower those carb calories to satiate more. Maybe you're working out more than you said you were, and you're just not getting enough calories to replenish and to recover those muscles. So that's where it's always great to have a base, and then we can change the numbers easily. And I always say, give it a week, and then we change them. Now, fuel your body like a Maserati. So this to me is part of, I've got my macro numbers, but now how do I eat? I want to eat to perform. I want to fuel my body. I want to have really good nutrient dense foods. I want to hydrate 100 to 120 ounces of water a day. I might structure my eating. Some people like the intermittent fasting, or just waking up if they eat last at 8 o'clock, maybe not waiting until like 10 in the morning to eat, maybe having coffee, but eating a little bit later after they work out. This is where I kind of talk to my client and figure out what works for you. What are you seeing changes in? But this is just a sample. For me, I might eat 5 times a meal, mainly because I might get up early, have some clients. I need something like a little protein and carb. Then an hour and a half to 2 hours later, I'll work out. And right after I work out, within 30 minutes, I'll have a post-recovery smoothie shake. Lunch might be something like a Buddha bowl, lean protein, a little grain, salad bowl with some lean protein. Dinner, lean protein, a lot of veggies, some healthy fats. And if I'm still hungry or if I realize that I might have some more room in my macronutrients left, I might have a little protein shake or some nice snack of protein carbs, or I might have just something I would indulge in if I felt like I really had some leftover room in my macro numbers. So if I'm hungry between meals, I might ask myself, did I eat enough at mealtime? Was I just snacking throughout the day? When I've done the 7-day cleanse, it's a totally different kind of system because I'm detoxing and I am eating every 2 hours, because it's a completely different shift in what I'm doing to detox, to rid my body of the toxins, to get a really good cleanse week. So I want to say that's a separate week, because I know some of you guys have done the 7-day cleanse. But when we're not doing that cleanse, I want to make sure I'm eating really well at mealtime and not just snacking on crackers and chips and this and that every hour, 2 hours. What's my macro ratio? Am I having, maybe I'm eating too much carbs, not enough fats, and this is where we can adjust those numbers, right? Am I my blood sugar regulated, and am I digesting my food? So again, that all kind of can mean why I'm still hungry after mealtime. Now, if it fits your macros is one of those kind of philosophies out there on eating macros, meaning that say 40, 30, 30, 40% I'm eating protein or carbs, 30% fat, 30% protein. then can I just eat pizza and ice cream all day long as it fits in those macros? Because 500 calories can look different in those different categories. I kind of say, I still want to eat healthy. I still want to choose nutrient dense foods and really good healthy foods. I would say I'm kind of a 90-10, 85-15, like 85% of the time I'm choosing and actually craving healthy foods. But 15% of the time I am totally indulging, especially over COVID. My daughter made homemade key lime pie. We had homemade apple pie. We had all these kind of sweets that I would enjoy a little, but knowing that I ate really well throughout the day, and then I felt like I could indulge in that for dinner and for post dinner. But I just want to say excess calories is excess calories. So even if you eat healthy, eating too much of healthy, more than you expend, you're going to gain. Excess calories is excess calories, whether they're healthy or they're not. So just to let you know, just thinking about that, your macros, your daily macros is what's really going to equal results. Okay. So boosting metabolism, building lean muscle. Again, exercise is key. I think, it's like I can't out train a bad diet. I can't eat all that I want and try to like run 10 miles the next day or spend 2 hours in the gym to kind of burn it off. Like, I don't want to have that mentality. I want to find a really good, healthy balance. And so finding a good rhythm of getting in the gym, getting in your home gym, getting a pair of dumbbells, working out in your bedroom, in your basement, going on walks, doing cardio, doing strength training, even a 20-minute cardio ladder or Tabata, where you're going 20 seconds on, 10 seconds off. It's just doing that really good focus on intensity over duration and really focusing on building lean muscle. Because again, in strength workouts and when you're building that lean muscle, it tears down, it builds muscles up. And that's what's going to help you rev up that metabolism to get the change in your body composition that you want. So it's that nutrition and it is that exercise together. And muscles will grow when we eat and when we rest. So even crucially important is good sleep, resetting those hormones. I shared this picture about Lorraine. She came to me, a client, she wanted to lose weight, build muscle, and to feel better. And she did. She committed to see me twice a week, and she committed to working out 2 times on her own. So basically 4 times a week, she was doing strength training. She started on, and I'll share this in a minute, the Prove It Challenge and the 7-day cleanse. She reset her gut. She reset some cravings, and she found a balance of working out and finding good rhythms with eating. And she found out that she needed to actually eat more. She wasn't eating enough protein. And so the protein shake was something that really was added into her healthy habits that she could take to work, which was so easy for her to do. And unbeknownst to me, 100 days of us meeting for the first time, she signed up for a 5K because she started building lean muscle and changing her body composition and had energy, and signed up for 2 more 5Ks. She lost 20 pounds and she did great. She was completely committed. So this little picture gives you an idea of if I exercised or no exercise and I, over time, we're going to lose, muscle mass, bone density. In a 9-month study, there was on women, it was exercise only, gaining muscle, but not changing in bone density. And then one of my favorite ways that I'll share in a minute is exercise, and post-exercise is having a good protein recovery shake that will recover the muscle glycogen and start repairing and just giving your body what it needs. After 9 months of that, it was gaining muscle as well as gaining bone density, which is unheard of. So, and what the exercise looked like was 20 minutes of cardio, 20 minutes of resistance training, 3 days a week. And I know some people do 4 to 5. So it was definitely something of what can I do to see some results? So exercising, post-recovery, really thinking about when I recover, how am I fueling and feeding my muscles, and just building up that metabolism all at the same time. And this is what I love and what I use and have for 9+ years. I really like the science, I like the studies, and I like the results. So having a protein that I know is safe, safe for elite athletes. I'm still considered an athlete, but I'm not an Olympic athlete, but definitely I'm a mama that likes to work out. building lean muscle, burning fat, improving my metabolism, that is so huge for me. So finding a protein that has all the 9 essential amino acids, the full spectrum. I love the profile of the Life Shakes, 20 grams of protein, less than a gram of sugar, so very keto friendly, 6 grams of fiber. So the net carbs is like 2. So to me, this was something that I love to recommend when we want to jumpstart in, the Prove It Challenge, in a cleanse that will reset the gut, reset cravings, reset our system. And most people see a change in their body composition. Most people lose some weight. But again, it's like, okay, in 7 days after that, how can I just start managing and really enjoying eating and enjoying a good healthy balance, and what does that look like macronutrient wise? So this is something I love to recommend, the Life Shake and the Prove It Challenge. And for me, next best steps for you guys, because I want to give some time for Q&A. Log your food. This would be the first step when I wanted to say Macro 101 is log your food. So you can download MyFitnessPal for free. Track your food. Obviously, if you made something like a casserole, it's a little bit harder to figure out, how much of what was in it. So when you have more single serving foods, like I had half a sweet potato, I had a cup of steamed broccoli, I had, half a cup of rice, and I had 4 ounces of chicken. That's really easy to log. I had 2 cups of romaine and whatever veggies and things you added to it. It's a lot easier to log. I always tell people, don't shame yourself. Don't feel badly. Just like, be honest, be true, be as specific as possible. I had 3 little mini Snicker, whatever bars. Be as honest as you can. And definitely, if you don't have anyone that invited you or I invited you, I love going over a free health assessment, because that's a way that I can see, how is your sleep? How is your stress level? What kind of typical things are you eating for breakfast? This just gives me an idea of where to start, your base. And then your next best step is moving your body and moving it differently, especially if you're not doing anything resistant training wise. You need to start doing that. That is great for your bone density. We want to be those 80-year-old grandmas that can pick up our grandson or granddaughter, that can move about, that can go up and down stairs well, that can sit and get up off chairs. Like, we want to move well. And so that means now we have to make those decisions, so that our older self will say to our younger self, thank you for making a difference and for choosing your health and self-care right now. Reset your cravings. Sometimes we might feel like, I don't know if I can do anything differently. And the Prove It Challenge and the Cleanse has been a great thing that I've loved to recommend, because it definitely jumpstarts healthier habits. And the last 2 to me is stress. Stress, even though we can eat healthy, we can exercise. If we have so much stress in our body, physically, mentally, emotionally, it really wreaks havoc on our hormones and our metabolism, and it kind of just wreaks havoc on just our results and the things that we gain with those good habits. So that's something that you want to really manage, and we can talk about. And then quality and quantity of sleep is essential. Oops, sorry, I went too far. Hold on. So the best project you'll ever work on is you. And I love Mel Robbins. She said this: start late, start over, start scared, start again, just start. And so it's just keep on keeping on, right? Don't give up. And you are the best project, and you are worth it. And then I love this picture of the avocados. I totally regretted eating healthy, said no one ever. Sorry, you guys. But here's some optional things to think about. If you've never done a health print, that's something that whoever invited you can take you through and do a free consult over. That's something that I do. If you have any other questions after this Q&A time, just schedule a follow-up call. And then just so you can get a bird's eye view, the Prove It Challenge that I mentioned is like 159. You get 30 servings of protein shakes to make, a 30 serving of my favorite, basically that fills in all the gaps from my Vitalizer strip. And free shipping, free membership for life. You order when you want. But that's my favorite thing to recommend that I love and see that works well for people. And then lastly, before I open for Q&A, I love, like, my heartbeat is to help people look and feel their best, to thrive in health. And I have an amazing team. And so I always want to be open to share that this is something I love people joining my team, whether it's sharing the gift of health, whether it's like I get to work from home and do this business, I love. So I always want to say this is an opportunity that I always like to welcome people to join me or to join your friend that invited you. So with that, I'm going to stop share and open up the floor. This is where you guys can unmute and ask me some of those questions that we didn't get. Because like I said, this is kind of macro 101, some broad strokes, but wanted to answer any follow-up questions. So go ahead and unmute and let me know what question you might have. Anybody have any question?
I would ask a question about total carbs versus net carbs. Is that anything that you actually track differently between the two? I know that the app that I use has a lot of different ways that they'll track your macros. And I've used the Chronometer app. I don't know if you've used that one. I find it's been really user-friendly. I've liked it a lot. So,
Okay, text it in the Corona or the, what did you?
Chronometer, it tracks your nutrients that you're getting also.
Yes.
I'll write it in the chat, but I found it easier to use in MyFitnessPal personally. Like it's
More
neat.
user friendly. I will definitely.
I think it is. I think it is. But anyway, but they ask you which carbs are you tracking? And I'm like, I don't know. I guess total carbs. But what do you recommend? Like that.
I think for someone, I try to keep it as easy. I think starting out, I just say more the macro carbs, not the net carbs. Even though when I know myself, I want to get about 25 grams of fiber. And if I do get more fiber, that definitely helps bring down, the net carbs or the carb count. But I think when I first initially meet with someone, it's more of just, from the pie, the protein, just more the overall carbs. But again, if I'm not seeing results or if they're not seeing results, then I'm looking at, like you said, I'll scroll up and think, what other nutrients are there? Are we having too much sodium? Are we retaining water? Are we not having enough fiber? Are we not eliminating well? What's going on? I think that's really healthy. One, to celebrate wins, and two, to really think through what's one thing that I can change. And that's one thing I wanted to mention. When we start on this macro, it might be, I'm overwhelmed. What do I do? How do I start? And so I remember telling someone for the first week, your only win is to track. Don't be overwhelmed by what the numbers say, but just get in the habit of knowing what you're eating. Maybe the second week is try to hit your protein number. If you're aiming for 100 grams of protein a day, that's the only thing I want you to focus on. And then get into the habit of that. It might be that someone that doesn't drink enough water, never, they're always drinking maybe 2 to 4 glasses of water. I might say for the week, all I want you to do is drink 100 to 120 ounces of water every day and just manage everything else. So I would say find one thing that I'm going to work on the week, and then it becomes a habit. The next week, this is my new goal. The next week, this is my next new goal. So that to me helps, as well as celebrating wins. Like, I did it. I ate really well. I went to bed feeling full, but I felt great. I woke up with energy. I slept well. I ate more protein. I'm hitting my numbers. I'm choosing to eat healthier. I just think celebrating wins just keeps that momentum going, for sure. But hopefully, Caroline, did I answer your question? I would say if the dial doesn't move, then it's like, I'm not getting enough fiber. That's more into net carbs, understanding that. How about anybody else?
I'm writing the names of those two apps.
Okay. I saw the Chronometer. Say it fast. Sounds like Corona. It's like, what?
That one's neat. What's neat about it is that it tracks your vitamins and minerals that you're getting too. It's got a lot of generic things in there taken from like all sorts of resources, and it's also really easy to add your own recipes and your own food,
which is that's really helpful.
Yeah, because you need that, when you have stuff that's not in there, you want to add it. And so I've been really surprised at how nutrient, without the shakes, how nutrient deficient I would be. And I mean, I had no idea that, like, even if you're eating 8 servings of vegetables a day, you're still not getting, your daily recommending of fruits and vegetable or of vitamins and minerals, and that was really revealing to me.
Yeah. And sometimes you might find that it's easier to be a creature of habit. And once I know some people that vary their meals, hardly vary their meals because they've kind of really dialed in. These are a couple of ways that I love to have my breakfast where I feel like I'm getting all my nutrients in. Getting protein was hard. So I mean, like it says, I always like to have some kind of protein for every meal. And you're right. I think the Life Shake for me has been a savior. It has also really helped some of my clients really get 20 grams of protein. Another way of getting 20 grams of protein is I had like maybe a third cup of egg whites with an egg and then like breakfast hash. And that was like a really good hearty meal. And that was another way of getting 20 grams of protein, kind of like maybe a pre-breakfast. And then I had a post-recovery shake with 20 more grams. So before noon, I had easily 40 grams of protein. So I think if you're really struggling to get protein, I have some ideas of ways of just what to get protein. But to me, those are two good ways. And some people have 2 shakes a day, and have in the afternoon as a pick me up, but definitely balances your blood sugar level as well, which is really good. And with the fiber in it, it's super helpful. How about anybody else? I would love to hear maybe what is one thing that you learned tonight that you can take away that was helpful. That would be good for me to hear.
Well, I didn't know that we were supposed to have that much protein. That I'm probably not getting enough. That's interesting.
So
Is there any?
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say, is there? There was a couple slides where you were calculating how to do it, and that seemed a little hard.
It is hard. It is hard.
Hard?
This is what I do for people. I at least want to give you a head, a glimpse, because there's definitely a science to it of like, what does that look like? And again, when I had someone go down to the local like Max Muscle and step on the InBody scan, it tells you what your lean body mass is. And that was easy for me to figure out the calculations. But when you don't have that, it's, you can Google, online, how do I figure out my BMR? How do I calculate my macros? And you get all these calculations. So it's just kind of at least a first glance to know. It might take me a little bit, but I can do it. And it's something that I definitely can have a follow-up call and help walk you through it slower again. But as far as like the protein, I want to go back to that is if you find that you're eating maybe 50 grams of protein, don't next week try to jump to 100 grams of protein. So gradually add a little bit more protein.
Okay.
Because I think that's something that you want your body to adjust to.
Okay.
And I feel like spend, a couple of weeks slowly, gradually adding a little protein and see. And again, if you're not in that strength training category, 0.7 times your body mass, your lean body mass, or your body weight, that's more of a very good relative and realistic amount of protein to do for sure.
Okay, and was there a really easy calculation then to figure out then the carbs and the fats? Like if we don't have that InBody scan yet to start, but just like if we wanted to start kind of tomorrow, like.
Right. First you can start kind of like when I went back to that one page, you can start you calculate your protein first. So say you're 100, let's say like 100 and mostly 120, I don't know, I went with 125 pounds, and my activity level, I multiplied that by 14. I didn't put this in, but if my activity level, I would say go a little bit lower, maybe multiply by 12 or by 10, then that's going to be my amount of calories. And then I will, say that gives me my calories, and then I divide that to get my percentage. I would say we'll go back over. I'll send you the link, and it's easier when you take time to just stop the frame and look at it.
Okay.
You can totally do it.
Okay.
You can totally do it. It's hard to describe it without the numbers in front of me.
Sure.
Yeah. But you can do it. It's a lot more work. It's kind of like doing math. But I would say the in-body scan was easy to do for someone, but that's the kind of rudimentary way to figure out on my own if I didn't have anything. And again, if I had a tape measure or if I had a caliper that I could do, that I could figure out my body fat percentage, that gives me my ideal body weight. And then what is my basal metabolic rate? And then what is my energy expenditure to figure out calories? And then I figure out my protein macros, then my fat, and then what's left in the calories is carbs.
Okay.
And then that's when I get my percentages, and I can start adjusting. I can wiggle them around, basically finding my sweet spot of when I see I have energy, I look good, I feel my body changing, then I know I've hit a sweet spot.
Okay.
Yeah, so this definitely broad strokes, but I will, I'll make sure I send you guys. And I'm reading someone here. Sarah, we eat a mostly vegetarian diet with a little bit of chicken or fish. When needing more protein, what do you recommend? It's interesting. There's a lot of vegans. I have several friends that are athletes, like competitor athletes, bodybuilders that are vegan. And it is in like red lentils have so much protein. So you'll find even, I would say Google non-animal protein sources, and you will get a great idea. A really good Instapot recipe that my family loves is sweet potatoes and red lentils. It has no meat in it. It has like some coconut milk, and I have carrots and onions and garlic. I mean, it's really, really good. And it's really, really heavy feeling and really satiating. So, but surprisingly, there are some non-animal fat proteins that you will find, and just Google that for sources, because I love like a meatless Monday, having a day a week where you're getting your protein sources from plant-based, not animal. And that's why I do say I love the Shaklee Life Shake, that it's plant-based. And so I'm getting really good plant-based protein, which is good. So to me, it kind of evens out. I definitely still eat meat, but I don't have to rely 100% on meat. And when I do the 7-day cleanse, I still worked out, and it was plant-based protein that I relied on. So it worked out great. So I think that's a great question.
I found I've done much, much better on plant-based protein as I've gotten older. I think when I was younger, I did better on meat protein, especially the white meat. But experiencing some inflammation, and in my 50s, now the plant-based protein I have done exceedingly well on, much, much better. I feel better. My digestive health is even better than it was, and has helped tremendously with the inflammation.
I think that's great, Bridget. I would definitely agree. As we get older, we definitely, a plant-based is just, it's better for our digestive system. It's better. I have friends too that really find they're pescatarians, and they really find some of the leaner, the whiter fish or even salmon. I think they've tried everything, and they really feel good and strong on that diet, more fish diet, as far as like non-vegetarian protein. So for sure, thank you for sharing that.
I want to throw out one more thing too. So those of you who don't know me, I've been on a weight loss journey over the past 6 months or so, and we are primarily plant-based in our house as well. And I think it's been incredibly hard because my body does better with more protein. And through looking at my macros and starting to track them, I realized I was just eating way too many carbs. And so I find that I can eat carbs earlier in the day better than late in the day. And also the Life Shakes have been, just life-saving for me, because it helps me get plant-based protein in more than once or twice a day, sometimes 3 times a day. And it's really helped me to keep that. And then also just like learning about like other foods, and like a lentil pasta, or like the red lentil pasta. That's one of my favorite, like kind of on the gluten-free noodle side of things. The red lentil noodles are one of our family's favorite, and they're packed with protein, and so those are some things we've had to do. And then I've added in some chicken and some fish, and it's not that I don't eat them, but I just don't eat them primarily. And so just trying to be really specific about what I eat and which proteins I put in my body, animal based. So that way I'm not just like eating cheese sticks all day, which is probably not the best for like my long-term health, but instead trying to find a protein source that's like not just high in protein, but it's also going to be like beneficial for my health. So that's just a little bit about like what we've experienced in that. And also the amount of protein that's in vegetables. I mean, calorie for calorie, spinach has about more protein than anything you're going to find. And so it's kind of mind blowing too, to see how those things start adding up as well. But I've just realized that I can eat protein, like carbs, like if you're going to eat rice and if you're going to eat like your grains, try to eat them earlier in the day and your body might process those better. At least that's what I've seen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I love that. And I agree. I have a couple more minutes before I have to start another Zoom in 5 minutes, but I want to finish this. I wanted to answer Karen that was on the chat too. And I know, Karen, you're close by, but I do love the plant-based protein. I know she was saying finding a protein that doesn't bloat, that doesn't, that you feel good. And it's also too, I found that I mix my plant-based protein with water. I might add some cinnamon, turmeric, a handful of spinach, half a frozen banana or berries, and it's great. It really satiates. So, and I like, again, the profile and just knowing that it's safe. It's what's not in it makes me happy. You know, it's really clean protein, and my kids and my whole family uses it. So I know there's chocolate and vanilla as far as like the 100% plant-based protein. So definitely, if you're local and I can give you free samples, I would love to. And if anyone that invited you that you would like to sample something, let them know, because anything that I have people order via me, it's 100% money back guarantee, which is great. So that helps out. Any other questions before? Hi, Sarah. Good to see you. Any other questions that you guys might have? And again, if you sent your email, I will definitely send you the recording so you can stop, pause, and really figure some of those numbers out on your own screen. Definitely love your feedback. So if you know me personally, reach out to me. I'd love to hear what we could do next and what you would like to know more of. Or like I sent my email, let me know. I put my email in the chat earlier, christine.vandies@gmail.com. Reach out to me and let me know any further questions. But other than that, guys, I'm grateful that you guys got on. Have an amazing evening, and I look forward to hearing from you and being in touch. You guys take care.
Thanks.